Hi, friends. I'm Suzanne Alexandria. I'm the CEO of Alexandria International and an Akashic Records healer and teacher. I train other healers and therapists and intuitives to access your Akashic Records. And today I simply wanted to pop on and do a quick live to share something that I've been watching. And that is a known thing that happens with intuitives when you start to tap into the stream of consciousness that is your all knowing and your soul journey, your soul's history. That the Akashic Records is all of that and so much more. And the way I teach it is very broad with guided love and light from the ascended masters and the archangels. And so you can learn more about that on my website at suzannealexandria.com and that program if this is of interest. But I just wanted to share something that starts to happen, especially because of the intensity of energy that's working on the planet right now that many of us are channeling about it and feeling and experiencing. And so, very specifically, when a person starts to open her consciousness to a new level, a new vibration, a lot of stuff has to sort itself out because the systems are innately wired and meant for most or all of us to be able to tune in these high vibration ways. But if you're not used to it and if you're not used to working with it can cause a lot of jolts of energy and a lot of kind of rather uproarious experiences. And that's what I want to talk about because we're all part of a beautiful fabric of oneness. In fact, it's like this energetically, the flower of life. We're all part of humanity. We're all part of the one of this creation that's the earth that's the human experience. It's a collective consciousness. So each one of us is one of these circles, but we get so overlapped and commingled. And that's why life is exciting, but that's also what makes it rather confusing when we tap into energy because especially if you're new to it, you don't know what's yours and what's not. You don't necessarily know because we you haven't been trained in it or you haven't known to even inquire within yourself what is mine, what is theirs, what is the collective, what is for me, what is not for me. So those are all things that I'm very particular about teaching. But the one thing that I wanted this video to be about, because sometimes this happens, whether you're tuning into Akashic Records or not, is this feeling that you've been in certain places at certain times. And I work very closely with the Mother Mary and Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. And they want me to share this because it's a reality. Many of us feel a close kinship to them. Many of us have seen direct past lives with them, like in our conscious states. We've seen being at the different places that are referenced, for instance, in the Bible, the places in Judea, in Israel, in Egypt. And that is so for many of you souls. They want you to know that. But there is this experience of overlapping realities because we're so connected. And that's what I really wanted to share. So sometimes, like in one case, someone was experiencing a flood of memories coming through as she's attuning to her own truth. This is one of my clients. And it may or may not be all her experience from the perspective of spirit. But in this case, it was really running through very rapidly, clearing her consciousness and clearing her like recorded state, almost like a cork got unplugged because she's ready to tune into a higher truth. So this particular person, and this is common, I had this, a lot of us have had this, was having all these floods of memories, of visions, of stories, even relating to what we know from books like the Bible or films about our history or wherever it comes from history. And sometimes that happens when we are ascending into a higher vibrational state of being. And sometimes it's not all yours. It doesn't necessarily mean that, for instance, if you're seeing yourself as a gladiator or as a um, fisherman in India or Nepal or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that that was you, but it could be. And frankly, it very often it is. But sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a clearing of all of these interwoven visuals and memories and stories that have been told since time immemorial that um, have extreme relevance, but which are moving out of the way. I'm hoping that's a way that makes sense of this. So if you think of all the stories on this planet that we know or we don't know, because we are all connected like this, we have essentially some part of us has experienced it. It's in our DNA, it's in our genetics, it's in our collective memory. It's part of humanity. And if you're a human, you're part of all of it. And that's one of the best messages that the guides and loved ones want to um, be relayed by me today is that if you're part of humanity, you're part of all of it. And it really doesn't matter if it's yours or not. If your soul directly experienced being a baker during the Revolutionary War in the United States, or being a priestess, or being, um, anything. It matters if you want to inquire. It matters in terms of helping you know who you are. But consider that we've been part of all of it. All of the unraveling right now, all of the awakening that's going on is literally unhooking energetically lots of like little fish hooks or cords of perspective that frankly have kept you and me and others in judgment. So when we're awakening and our hearts are expanding at a vastly uh, quickened pace right now, it seems for many of us, there's a lot of unplugging from all story because it doesn't really matter anymore. Or it does. You're going to get to choose. But my main point is that as your heart opens and your light opens and you start to have a new, fresh awakening, whether or not you've done this kind of work for a long time or not, my main point is that some or all of it may not be yours per se, but it's all ours. The Holocaust, for instance, is all of ours. World Wars I and II, all of us, all humanity experienced that in some form because we're here now in the present, and it affected our ancestors. It affected some of us as souls in those lifetimes, which are simultaneous. It is in the history books. It's widely talked about and films have been made. It's here. And you're part of all of it. And falling into complete and utter non-judgment and coming into allowing that experience is here either to be sorted out or to drift away so that your experience right now, today, in this holy moment can be fully vitalized, fully alive. That's what my guidance shows me is wanted more than anything. What does it take in terms of sorting through illusions, history, stories, what have you, to see yourself right now, right here, as the empowered, impeccable, sovereign, true light that you are? And if it makes some sense to be more in cohesiveness now, to look at what's drifting through your awareness as a past life or as a collective consciousness experience, then do that. But dive in and check in with your heart and your guides and your guidance to know literally like how much time to spend on that. Because so much of this message is, beloved, don't spend too much time delving into story of the past if it's not moving you forward and if it's not bringing some coherence or understanding or deepening or awakening or enlivening you in the present. Now, I was a person who, for lots of reasons, spent a lot of time in the past delving into it. And I needed to do that, I believe. And I did it. And I could have kept doing it. But thankfully, spirit guidance and human guidance kept reminding me that the present is all we have and the future is so bright. And let us not be so enmeshed in especially judgments of the past, because that is having a stronghold. It's almost like it's hooking us away and keeping us from experiencing what we can experience in the present and building and co-creating the future that we want and that I believe and I know that God wants for us, that the divine, the holy wants for us. So I'm fairly certain I'm guided to be relaying this out to you all today because you may be experiencing something of this sort. And with a lot of energy expansion comes a lot of pushing away what's blocking that. That's how I see it. Like clearing the way for more expandedness of yourself, more bigger visionness of yourself, and hopefully calmer beingness, more centered groundedness. So the main thing is tune into your heart, your guidance, your gut instinct, and know, is this something I ought to dwell in? Is there a reason to pursue analysis? Perfect, then do it if you get a yes. But be sure you're not in any form of analysis paralysis. That's the main message. It's so simple. So this has been a little tip guidance about what's going on in the collective, what you might be experiencing in your assimilation of your higher self in your beingness. And what can happen when you're really tapping in and learning to tap in to a higher consciousness and your the Akashic records, your Akashic records. So I pray that it's of guidance and assistance. And for any more information, be sure you follow me through my newsletter at SuzanneAlexandria.com. And if you seek any personal assistance, I offer guidance in myriad ways. You can find all of that available on my website. Thank you so much. Namaste, and I love you. Blessings to you all.